Board gaming apparel.
Have you ever bought a board game when your spouse said no? Have you ever won a game on an insane dice roll? Have you ever killed a dragon using only chopsticks? Do you text your friends to distract them from your current moves? Can you finish off a pizza in between your second and third turn? Can you ride a panda across the plains of Dewey? Do you have what it takes to stop an evil wizard from destroying your village? Do you tell your friends to call you Dungeon Master? Can you muster the strength to play one more game after 2 a.m.? Can you be the chosen one all the way up to bedtime? Have you ever dared to say no and pick your best friend's favorite character anyway? Have you ever randomly shouted nonsense because you thought it would be funny, and it wasn't? Well, we haven't done most of those things either, but we are willing to try. Join us as we explore the world of board gaming and all the crazy things that come with it. Welcome to the Epic Gaming Night Podcast.
Welcome to the Epic Gaming Night Podcast, a podcast about tabletop games, but mostly board games. I'm your host, Roy Canday, and with me as always is Rob.
Yeah, and that was in honor of Matt.
Honor of Matt, rest in peace.
In peace, Matt.
And Michael.
Hello.
From Gamelyn Games. Can you tell us a little bit about yourself, Michael?
Yeah, so here I am, publishing board games. Founder of Gamelyn Games, creator of the Tiny Epic series, designed by Scott Alms. So we've been working hard at that, rocking it out. Tiny Epic Western is kind of the big thing on our plate right now.
Mine is back there, right there.
What's up?
I said mine is right there on the shelf. I'm sure that's great for the audio listeners, but yeah, it's behind me somewhere.
I wish I could see you. So.
Oh, sorry, man.
You have to send me a picture.
I definitely will.
When we wrap this up. So, but yeah, I come from a background of customer service and also some acting. I did a little bit of theater and then into some film and TV, just a touch. And then went into film school. Sure enough, got a film degree that I don't do anything with, and now I make games.
Where'd you go to film school at?
Scottsdale Community College, which is a rocking film school. They actually have a really nice program and lots of nice equipment and great teachers.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. My brother's in the industry.
Oh,
and
cool.
So, yeah.
Is
cool
that
stuff.
how you get all your skills to make your trailers for your games?
Those are not my skills. No. I have skillfully chosen a very skilled individual. No, so Ben Schulman is a graphic designer that I work with, and he does the teaser videos.
That's awesome. But with your education, you can be like, yeah, that looks good. That looks good.
Yes, no, exactly. That's
Yes, you can make that executive decision.
Exactly. This is too long here, or this here.
90 seconds.
But yeah, our topic tonight is going to be all about Gamelyn Games, but also we're going to talk about the Tiny Epic Western Kickstarter as well. But before we get into all of that, we're going to talk about what we've been playing.
Ba-ba-da-da.
Do you want to start us off, Rob?
Sure, I can start us off. So, I finally played XCOM the board game, and I absolutely loved it. We've talked about it a lot. In fact, we just talked about it on our last podcast. The game was amazing. We won. I'm not saying that we won because I was the commander, and I kind of told everybody what to do, but I was the commander, and we won. So I'll let you guys put 2 and 2 together. It was a lot of fun. It was real crazy. I did not realize how quick you needed to make a decision. Like when they were talking about the app, you need to make a quick decision. I was thinking like, okay, 20 to 30 seconds, and that's pretty quick myself, or quick in itself. But there were a couple times where I had to make a critical decision, and I had like 7 or 6 seconds one time, and then my average was about 10 seconds to be able to make those decisions. And it really kind of like blew my mind because I was like, oh my goodness, like this is fast. We still did great. We still won, had a blast. And so XCOM, really enjoyed it. It's a good game. You just need to be able to yell at
Especially
your friends
if you
and
want
still
some
be friends.
anxiety, like if you enjoy
Yes.
anxiety, that's exactly the game you need to play.
Yeah, it's right up there with Dead of Winter for like freaking out over things.
It's not really a good game to play when you want to like relax and chill out and be
Yeah,
zen.
no.
No, you need to like bring your A game and go hard.
And you need to play with people that you like or people you don't care yelling at and they don't care being yelled at. Because there are a lot of times we're just yelling back and forth at each other and it's all good, but we're trying to save the world. I mean, we're trying to save the planet, listen to what we're doing. No more science research this round. So we played that. And then we also played Deception Murder in Hong Kong from Gray Fox Games. Matt was super excited. He actually backed it online, I think, on their Kickstarter, and he got it in early. And we were able to play this social deduction game. And before I go any further, that game was so much fun. Deception and Murder in Hong Kong, I highly recommend. So, being a social deduction game, you have to find out who the murderer is, right? There's one person
Yes.
who's the forensic scientist, and everybody else is either an investigator or one person is going to be the murderer, and they're going to get a card. Um, and it's different because it takes it a step further. Rather than just saying Michael Coe is the guy who killed everybody, we have to say not only did Michael do it, but how he did it and what he used to do it with. And so when you're the forensic scientist, you get two cards starting off right off the bat. One, you get the location of the murder, and then the other card you get to choose from, you get how they died. Like, was it bloody? Was it a trauma? Was it poisoning? Was it something else? There's about 6 different
Suffocation.
options. Suffocation. And then you're going to get 4 random cards that may mean absolutely nothing to you as a forensic scientist. But what happens is everybody starts the game, and the forensic scientist, they're like the narrator of the game, and they tell everybody close their eyes, and then they tell the murderer open your eyes, and the murderer opens his eyes, and everybody, and I left this out, I'm sorry, gets dealt 8 cards. 4 cards are orange and 4 cards are blue. They kind of go with one's the area and location, the other one's is the means of how they killed something. And so the murderer is going to look up at the forensic scientist, and he's going to choose 2 cards, one from each row. It can't be both blue and it can't be both orange. And so then you, as the forensic scientist, have to come up with a way to make clues to have people pick out how the murderer killed somebody. And so, so then the murderer closes his eyes, and then everyone opens their eyes together, and then the forensic scientist starts to lay out these cards, and you get these little bullets, and you put the bullets by the name or by the title that you're picking out on the card and different things. For example, when I was a forensic scientist, my guy who was the killer was Hector, the sweetest man alive. Hector was a killer, and he ran over somebody with his e-bike while they were playing mahjong. And so I had to try to get my team to figure out mahjong and an e-bike, you know, one of those little electric scooters. And so how do you do that? By getting cards that say like romance or lovers or a bunch of different crazy stuff. And so what I ended up doing is I picked the park. And when I picked how he died, it was like blunt force trauma. Okay. And so park and blunt force trauma. Because I was thinking mahjong, okay, kind of like chess. And you're playing
you
in
did
China.
severe injury. So
Was it
for
severe
some
injury?
reason, yeah,
Okay.
we were just super stuck on, like, he had dogs in front of him. So we figured out it was Hector, but we're like, it's those dogs. It's those dang dogs.
But it wasn't the dogs, because dogs would leave like bites and blood, and there were options for blood. I didn't say
yeah.
anything for blood. And it's really hard to play as me because I'm trying not to make faces because I'm very much an alpha gamer, so I'll look to see, ooh, did they raise an eyebrow if I said that? Oh, did they hold their breath? And so I'm just trying to stay face the whole time. And they're saying these stupid allegations. It's like, it has nothing to do with dogs. I made sure I didn't pick anything with dogs. But anyway, the game is a lot of fun. It's a little bit more complex than your average social deduction game. And that's why I highly recommend it. There are a lot of really good social deduction games, and there are a lot of really good party social deduction games. But if you play with the same people over and over again, and you kind of know who's the werewolf when you play One Night Ultimate Werewolf, or you kind of know, okay, this person's a Cylon because they always act like this when they're the Cylon, or in Resistance, you know, they're a spy. You can kind of read people's tells. This game, what made it great is I knew most of the time who the killer was. but I had to go a step further, and I had to pick which two clues
They
to guess that
picked
they
at
used.
the beginning of the game.
And you only get one guess. So if you guess round one, you can talk the rest of the game, but you can't ever guess again.
And you have to convince the other players to guess alongside you and help narrow down the things. I thought it was awesome because there was one round where I was the murderer, and I was trying to blame Rob so hard for the murder, but no one was buying it. So everyone was pointing at me. So I was the murderer, and I just got to a point where I was like, yep, okay. But you guys aren't going to figure out how I did it. So it's just interesting that, like in Werewolf, if they figure out you're the werewolf, they can nail you to the wall. Yeah. But in this game, if they figure out who you are, they have to still figure out with the clues that the investigator gave them to be able to put together the murder weapon and the clue.
Weren't your clues locked room and sealed envelope?
It was locked room and confidential papers. But
confidential papers. Okay.
The forensic scientist or whatever their name is put it on suffocation, so they were thinking it was unarmed, like they choked him. I choked the victim or whatever, instead of like actually like locked them in a room for like starvation or something crazy. So it made it a little bit harder for you guys to figure it out, and I loved it. I loved every bit of it.
It was a blast.
Have you played?
Have you ever played, Michael?
I've not played. It sounds great though. It sounds really good.
It's a lot of fun. It's a lot of fun, and it plays 4 to 12, or is it 4 to 10, Roy? Because I think you have the box.
It's
there.
I think it's like 4 to 12. It goes up pretty high because then it starts adding in people that know who the murderer is. But if the murderer at the end of the game can pick the person that knew who he was, then they lose anyway. So it's like adds that whole like Resistance Avalon Merlin thing in, so it makes it even crazier. So and there's like multiple different things that are very like that when it starts to get up to the higher player counts, which I haven't played with yet, but it sounds ridiculous.
No, I definitely want to pick this one up. As soon as we got done playing, not on the way home while I was driving, but that night I put it on my cart on Amazon, so it'll be coming in soon.
Nice.
So, pretty excited. But that was the 2 games I'm going to go over. How about you guys?
What have you been playing, Michael?
So I'm a big Carcassonne fan, so I picked up Star Wars Carcassonne
nice.
Essen, and I got a chance to play that a couple of times. Interesting. It's it definitely mixes it up when because a lot of it's resolved through combat in a sense where you're rolling dice. So in that way, the game can get real swingy, and you can have quite large point swings just come at random points in the game. And so less control in a game that's already high luck, high strategy.
Right.
Not sure I would prefer maybe the Star Wars is my least favorite of the variants that I've played. But also I've been playing this game Armadora, which is just kind of it's nothing super new. This used to be a game called Nuggets that came out in Germany. It's a little area control game. It plays really fast. This version is put out by Blue Orange Games. I like the theme on this version a lot. I like the art a lot as well. Mm-hmm. So this one kind of grabbed my attention. It's small. It plays fast. It plays very much just like an abstract strategy where you're just quarantining little gold mines and area control game. It's really fun. A lot of strategy real quick though. You're going to play 15-20 minute games and then you can move around, but it's nice because then you can identify where you've messed up, and so it's good. Plays good.
It's awesome.
Now, did you really only play that game because of the size of the box?
So I will say that the size of the box with the box art that's on there was the contributing factor to why I picked up the game. Absolutely. I saw the illustration. It looked really cool. Caught my attention. It was small, so but it looked like it offered more than what its size was. And so
there's another company that does stuff like that, where they put like a lot of this game and stuff into these little boxes, and they go on these adventures and stuff.
I just like that kind of stuff, so I would be interested in the company.
They do like really big games in small boxes. It kind of blows your mind, man. Okay.
So do you try to find all the small games and be like, this is good and this is like something, like try to get like ideas of how they've packaged things in there? for different games. I mean, Gamelyn is super good about having ridiculously huge games in tiny little boxes. Are you trying to see if other people are giving you a run for your money on that concept?
Maybe not that direct. I think that there's a part of it where I do, if the game catches my attention, I'll bust it out, and try. But for instance, I haven't went and got Sail to India by AEG, which I've heard is very much a fantastically large game in a small box and really does a lot of cool stuff. I probably ought to go out and see what's that. But so I guess I'm not. That's not solely what I do. But I'm drawn to smaller games. I just don't have a lot of time, and so it works really well to get a game in that's pretty quick. But yet, if it's not going to be thought provoking for me, I'm not interested. I'm not interested in just silly little stuff. I want something that's going to be meaningful, and then and particularly, Robert, I think I'd have a lot of fun playing with you because I like games where I can be spiteful and aggressive, and that's why I like Tiny Epic Kingdoms is so freaking amazing. So, because that one is just pure strategy, and so you really, Nate and I play the game quite a bit, and it gets pretty tough. There's this cooldown period of 5-10 minutes after the game where we're just like, okay, I hate you, but
yes.
You totally. Not only did you stab me, you twisted it, and I knew it. You knew it. And,
yeah, Rory and I run into that sometimes when we play games. But after the 5 to 10 minute cooldown, you do exactly that. You cool down, and then everything's okay.
You leave the game in the game. The game's there to have fun, and when you're playing the game, you try to win. And you do what it takes.
Yeah. So
awesome.
do you ever talk like your characters whenever you play these games? Like if you're playing Tiny Epic Westerns, do you ever just all of a sudden put on that
Howdy,
George
partner.
Southern? Yeah. Oh, maybe. Yeah. The more I've had to drink, the better. The more so I'm not entirely innocent, but I'm not ridiculously guilty of that either.
Okay. I'm not a drinker or anything, but I'm just stupid sometimes. And I remember the time playing Tiny Epic Kingdoms, I was the ogres, and I talked like an ogre the whole time. And at first, because I was playing with Doug and Trevor.
Yeah.
And at first they were giving me looks like, what in the heck are you doing? But after a while, they were like, okay, this is awesome. And so it was cool. It was fun. But I like to do that. It's silly stuff like that.
The question is, what races were they playing, and did they start to talk like their races?
Trevor was the blue people. Aren't they the
merfolk type people?
Yes, the fish
type. What are
they
called?
And then Doug was just the humans. He was just the regular old humans. He just talked like Doug.
Vanilla.
That's funny.
But anyway.
So for what I've been playing, I'm actually going to talk about one of the main games we're here to talk about today. I got a chance to play Tiny Epic Western, and hopefully I get the description of the game right. But Tiny Epic Western is a Western-themed worker placement game that uses a whole lot of the normal worker placement thing where you have a bunch of locations that are on these different cards, but you can place your posse members on the cards to gain you different resources. There's 3 different resources, gold, law, and force. And those different resources can be used to buy different buildings. But also a very strong part of this game is a poker mechanic, which you have poker cards set in between each of these buildings, and you at the beginning of each round you have 2 poker cards. You get to keep one of those to try to make poker hands that are going to be really strong in the different areas. And if you have the highest, if other people come in and try to take you out or try to get the ability of the building, there's basically all these places you can basically gamble to double up your resources. And if you have the higher poker suit, you'll be able to beat out other people that are there. If no one else is there, you have to go against the what is the neutral player's name in the game?
He's the rival.
the rival. So if no one else is there, then the rival is there to take you on, and that's just a random card off the deck, and you have to see if he has a better poker hand than you do. And it's very interesting. I mean, the poker part is super simple. If you know nothing about poker, you can easily play it because it's just like, oh, have a pair, oh, have three of a kind, oh, have a flush. Like, it's super simple. It's all just 3-card sets of things, so it makes it really easy, but it makes it super extremely thematic. There's also, if someone takes a place that you want, you can basically go in there and duel them, and the Kickstarter is going to come with bullet-shaped dice, right?
Yes.
Yeah, so the version I was playing just had like regular 6-side dice. The Kickstarter is going to come with these nice bullet-shaped dice that you roll off against your opponent, and you can actually use the poker card that's in your hand to help boost that. Or you can
look at those.
Or you can use, if you're defending, you can use your law to re-roll your dice, or if you're attacking, you can use your force. So there's ways to mitigate the luck in the combat. But it's really awesome. And also, when you're doing the combat thing, if you reveal your card too soon, then people can kind of know where you're going to be strong and where you're going to be weak on the board. So you might not actually want to reveal your hand of what's in your poker hand there. But then after everybody's placed all their meeples and gained their regular resources or the abilities for putting their people there, then you go around and see who wins the poker hands at each one of the locations. And that can basically let you get extra resources, which is very vital, or let you, if you win like the town hall at the end, you get to buy buildings first at the locations you're at, which is also extremely important when other people are on the same location as you. You can also raise up the 3 different are they like stock sort of things, or what are they called in the game?
Yeah, they're industry stocks. They're types of industries.
Yeah, so you have mining, railroads, and wagons.
That's right.
Yes, got it. And so you're basically trying to, on these buildings, you're trying to collect sets of these different industry stocks, and as you have more of those, you're kind of going to want more of that to raise higher, because at the end of the game, depending on which one of those industry stocks go across the finish line, there'll be like a first place, a second place, and a third place for those, and you'll get different victory points depending on how many times you set yourself up to win that town hall card or that town hall location. It's a hugely, like, it seems extremely deep and awesome, like, worker placement in this tiny little box, and it feels so Western with all the gunslinging and stuff. I played with my friend Dustin and his wife Jessica, and we had a blast. It was pretty crazy because, I mean, we were trying to figure out how everything worked, and once we got a hang of it, it was ridiculous. And the saloon location lets you get whatever resource you kind of want there. So me and Dustin were just constantly fighting over the saloon, which makes so much sense for a Western game because we're going back and forth, beating each other up in the saloon, trying to take the resources and get to play the buildings first. We were just jumping on each other every step of the way. It was pretty funny, though, because a lot of times I'm like, I've got this. My poker hand is the best. There's only one card in the deck that's going to beat me at this location. I'm going to get these resources. That's going to be good to go. There's nothing that can beat me here. And then he would have that one card. And I'm like, oh, man, the one card. But it was a lot of fun because I did like the same thing back to him on a different turn. So yeah. Is there anything else you want to say about the game, Michael, or anything crazy that has happened in games you've played of it?
No, you nailed the description of the game, kind of how it goes through really well. Some of the games have turned out pretty crazy. It can come down to it. It can, it's really neat when you can string together. Let's say you can time it in such a way that you come into the very last round of the game with your third meeple, so you've bought yourself that extra opportunity.
Uh-huh.
And then even if you're low in influence, so resources and influence are synonymous here in this game. So anytime Roy is talking about resources, he's also the same influence is the exact same thing. So
right.
And so, but even if you've come into the round with maybe low influence, but you've noticed that there's buildings out that allow you to like reduce the influence cost of buildings that you can purchase.
Mm-hmm.
It's really neat when you can stage stuff together where opponents can't really see that you're going to get these discounts, and that's going to allow you to pick up 2 buildings versus just 1 because you've got your third meeple. Or, for instance, we have the card modifier spots that are at the sheriff's office. The sheriff's office is a unique location in that it's kind of a utility location, whereas it's not so much about getting influence there. It's about changing the game around in some way that's to your favor. And so in particular, there's these spots that allow you to modify the numeric value of your card or the suit value of your card. Because if you ever come into a tie where you and an opponent, both at the saloon, let's say, like Roy is saying, and you both have an equal pair, then it would come down to whoever has the higher suit. And there's a ranking for suit value. But you can manipulate your card at that spot. And so just to kind of fill you in real quick, the card deck goes from 1 to 5, and it's 4 suits. And so you can go, and the modifiers allow the cards to wrap. So for instance, if you have a 5, you can plus that by 1, and that would wrap it into a 1. Or if you had a 1, you can reduce it by 1, and it would wrap it into a 5. And the same functions with the suit if you're trying to position a flush or something along those lines. And so, for instance, let's say the board is laid out, with low numbers, and you've, 1s or 2s, and you've got yourself a 5. Then it would be advantageous to start off being aggressive in duels and applying your high 5 to the dueling. To allow you to win the spot, and then modify that 5 into a 1 to sweep the rest of the spots where you're at to pick up surprising hand wins where they didn't see small straights coming in because you had a bigger card and you've already revealed and stuff like that. It's really neat. So it just depends. The game is very organic. Crazy stuff happens all the time.
Another thing I really like about it is with all the building locations, like there's always like different like a bit like in a worker placement, it seems like a lot of times the board's very like static. So you have like your static places where it's like, okay, well that gives me this influence and that gives me that influence. But like the buildings just change up the game so much. And it's like once someone buys a building, then it's available at their location and you have to like check those, and they're not complicated at all to understand. You can like read it and be like, oh, that's what that does. That's awesome. That lets me trade this for that. Or this lets me get that at a discount. Or this means someone can't attack me this round. So there's all sorts of like different things, but they're like changing out constantly, and it keeps the game fresh every round of the game. So it's not like you're doing the same thing over and over. It's like, oh my gosh, look at that location that opened up. Oh my gosh, look at that one over there. So that's also very exciting.
Yeah, that was a big part of. I mean, that's a thematic part as well of kind of what the Wild West was about. It's always changing. There was nothing that really stayed the same for too long back then. And what's nice, it does keep it fresh from a perspective of worker placements, because this is a worker placement game. Which, if you're used to the Tiny Epic series, you're going to come into this game and it's going to seem meatier or heavier or bigger than any of the other games that you've played in the Tiny Epic series. But that's natural to a worker placement game. It is much more of a sandbox approach, and so you kind of have all these different options. So it's not going to be quite as scripted as maybe an action card or a rolling set of dice would be. But when you acquire these buildings and they have their special powers, unlike in Tiny Epic Galaxies where there's powers stick around and you can access them throughout play. In Western, the abilities are going to be there really only for maybe a round. If you're going to be, because every time you purchase a new building, it replaces the ability of the previous building you had. And so really, if you're seeing abilities you like, you're going to have about a 1 or 2 round opportunity to use those. And so it keeps you on your feet and really presents a stage for high tactics.
Yeah, I definitely enjoyed it.
I need to check this out.
It's pretty crazy, man. I'm pretty excited about seeing like the full production copy of it with like those the little bullet dice. So awesome.
Yeah, those bullet dice look amazing.
And they turned out so cool. And we're going to do a red one and a yellow one that's going to come in the base game. If you pick up the deluxe on Kickstarter, and it's not that much more, it's totally worth it. Then we're going to throw in a blue one and a green one for you as well. So then each player would have their own. And then you just got a set of 4 awesome bullet dice that are super unique, custom to this game. Two-toned, and not two-tone swirl. I mean, this is the first time I've ever seen a die that's hard-line two-tone.
Yeah, that's pretty crazy. So I do have a question for you about the game. So when we played, it was a super close game. Like, we didn't realize until like the last second. So we had the stocks up. The game actually ends when all 3 stocks go across the finish line, or the building deck runs completely out. And so for us, the stocks went across, or he made the stock go across, and we were actually all three tied. At that point, the tie says that it goes to the person with the most buildings, right?
Right.
What's the next tiebreaker? Is there a next tiebreaker that you have set?
It would be the highest accumulated resource influence total.
That means he won. That means
Add
he
up
won.
all your types. Whoever has the highest total would be the next breaker if you needed.
We figured that was probably it, but in the rule sheet that we had, it didn't have that, and I knew that would probably be in the final rule. It would have multiple steps, and I'm like, dude, I'll tell you who won the game after I talk to Michael on the podcast. So he's like, we're gonna leave it at that, and we're gonna make sure this happens. So that's awesome. But I feel like I just lost. No, I'm just kidding.
Sorry to bring you the bad news.
No, that's awesome though.
It's a nice delayed loss, right? So you could enjoy. I mean, all up until this moment, the victory was yours.
Exactly. Yeah.
Enjoy that victory.
I was just hoping you were going to say, "Oh, it was the high suit," and I was going to be like, "Yes, I was holding the high suit card, and that made me win." No, that's too random. But that's pretty cool though. Definitely a lot of options in that game. Cool. Well, I guess we'll go ahead and talk about some other Gamelyn stuff. So, first off, how did Gamelyn Games get started?
Yeah, so it's a fun story, man. Because I don't have a big background in this.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't grow up. I didn't even really grow up a hobbyist, and so it's not like I recognized this big thing and like a business shark jumped on it. I grew up a gamer. I grew up in the '80s. Nintendo gamer. Board games here in America, let's face it, they're like, they're toys and stuff when we were growing up. And so there weren't very many compelling options. And the ones that were compelling were not very visually attractive to a younger child, or, they're just like war games and stuff, just ugly and dry. But I did love Hero Quest, I will say, and I typically call that one out because though I didn't fully understand the game at the time, when my parents would put it away and everybody, they even stuff, I'd pull it out and I would just play with it like a toolkit of just really just I guess more like a toy, but it really it gave me a chance to, I guess, find enjoyment in creating fantasy, not just enjoying fantasy, but trying to, in a sense, write fantasy in a young mind kind of way. So that was a stepping stone for me. There's a few other little ones, but in 2010, I was working at a restaurant, part-time management, part-time bartending, full-time playing World of Warcraft, and had been
nice.
And when I say full-time, oh man, if anybody has an addictive nature for a hell of a good game, it's me. So I got drowned in that game. I was in the weeds in that game for 5 years. I played exclusively one character that was kind of a continuation of a persona or a character that I wrote growing up when I was playing D&D as a D&D character. Nice. As a DM, he was constantly an NPC in my world setting, and his name was Gamelyn. Go figure,
nice.
Right? I made that character in World of Warcraft. I played him for a real long time. Vanilla WoW, Marshall, crazy stuff. If any WoW players know those, know what that means, and it's a full-time job. So, and I recognize that was not healthy in the sense that I really wasn't moving in the right direction at the restaurant that I wanted to. I really. And I started to really say, what's my 5-year goal? I didn't want to be a restaurant manager in 5 years, and I didn't, and so my wife introduced me to a motivational speaker, Wayne Dyer, and I listened to some of his stuff. And one particular thing that I'll bring up is that he did mention about how you spend your free time, and that free time is a misnomer. It's not free at all. It's your most valuable time. And so, I started thinking about what I do with my free time. Obviously World of Warcraft is where I was putting it. And, how could I use that time into a productive way, something that would forward my life. But in order to, I guess, even get there, I had to I had to stop wasting my free time and allow myself to get bored to see what I would be interested in doing, And so when I turned off World of Warcraft, all that was in my mind were games. That's all. I love games. I love making games. I love anything about games. And I don't have any software developing experience at all. So I can't make a video game. But I can go analog, and I can bust open a box of Monopoly and take some pieces around and write some rules and see what happens, right? So that's what I did. So I set out to make a game, and I had no idea that there was this golden age in board gaming that was just about to happen thanks to things like Kickstarter, and I had no idea that was on the forefront. And I spent a year developing and designing a game. I shopped it around at Gen Con 2011. And so this was, before then I had no idea. October 2011, around that time, sometime in 2011 was when I first even realized that there was more games than just Risk and Monopoly. And
Hobby gaming.
The documentary Going Cardboard around that time, and it just totally opened my eyes. I'm like, there really is a serious hobby here where gamers are getting just as stimulated, and dare I say more, from a tabletop game than they are from video games. And that's why there's an industry here, is because people want that stimulation, but they also want face-to-face. They also want a real experience, a tactile experience. And so so I kept going. I was like, there's something here. So I kept going, but I got turned down. My game got turned down. It was a stupid game. I liked the game, but it was just too big, and it was what I now get from first-time American designers. It was a big roll and move game, just too much luck. So now when I get submissions and it's this giant roll and move, I know right away this is a first-time designer. He's just learning about the industry. This is me like 4 years ago, and so that's kind of what got me into it. But I founded Crash Games at that time with Patrick Nickel. He was managing a game store. He was managing a retail game store local to me, and I wanted to show my game off at his store. So I ended up meeting him, and we met at Gen Con. We talked, and we said, well, let's form a little company. We had both known about Kickstarter, and so we kind of talked about that. But we weren't going to go to Kickstarter with a giant game, because it's just, you have to set too high of a funding goal, then there's too many risks, and if something goes wrong in a big game, then it goes wrong in a big way.
Right.
And so, at the time, my desire, around that time, my desire was to be in this industry as a game designer, really. I guess I just didn't see it, that there was, I guess I just didn't know enough about the business end of things until a little bit later. But, so then I went back to the drawing board, and I designed up Rise, a two-player abstract strategy game, much smaller, was going to be much of a better investment going into our first Kickstarter with a small game, small price point, small risks, right? So that's what we did. And that was a struggle. We set it for 60 days. I could go on and on about, it just depends on how long we want this podcast to go. You get me started, and you're going to have to figure out a way to turn me off.
You're doing good.
But it worked. We funded the game, it worked. And we went back, and we went back with another game that was a little bit bigger, but again, we struggled, but we eked it through, and we funded it. Patrick and I ended up going our own ways, and I started, at the time right before I had started Crash Games, I started Gamelyn Games. I'd done the LLC paperwork. I'd gotten it all going. I had sketched up a really silly logo that I wish I had on the fly so I could show you. But it lay dormant, and then I did Crash Games. And then when Patrick and I split, he took Crash Games, and then I just revived Gamelyn Games, got a new logo, and released Dungeon Heroes, which is another two-player design of mine as my first publication through Gamelyn Games, and then kind of started from there. So it was kind of this thing where I knew I wanted to make games. I knew that was what I really felt was a burning desire, but I didn't know how exactly that was going to happen, but that wasn't going to stop me. And so I was just going to keep taking steps. And I knew that, I figured if I designed games, then I could publish my own designs. And if I could do that well enough, then maybe I could step away from the designing role and publish other people's games, which is now what I'm doing, which is definitely what I prefer ultimately. And I still get scratch the creative itch that I came into this industry wanting to do. I still very much get the fulfillment in that way as a publisher, but I've recognized that Scott Alms, for instance, or other very talented designers out there have an X factor that they bring to game design that I think I'm still learning, and I'm able to use my talents a little bit better when I step out of the design role and instead work a little bit more as a contractor and piecing everything together and just, managing everything.
That's awesome.
So there you go. That's kind of how I got into it.
That's amazing. So
that is a crazy story.
Now Gamelyn's pretty much known for these tiny epic games. So what is you guys' philosophy behind making tiny epic games?
I guess it really started with Rise in the sense that that's when it clicked that we were going to have to start small and go small, and that was going to be what was going to be easy to manage and handle. And then into Dungeon Heroes really was kind of like a tiny epic before Tiny Epic ever came along. So I was already in the mindset of wanting to design small games that offered meaningful play. And the reason being was because it was out of a necessity of my growing responsibilities, at the time managing a restaurant, also being a husband and a new father. And so, I really don't have a lot of time. It's not like I was when I was a kid and I could just spend the whole weekend and burn literally the whole weekend on Dungeons and Dragons, which I loved. And part of me longs for something like that. But so instead I tried to get just quick little shots of it in the arm through Tiny Epic games. When Tiny Epic came my way from Scott Alms in October of 2013, and to kind of wrap up real quick on my other, I didn't get to go full-time Gamelyn Games until November 2014. So just to put it in perspective for people who are keeping track of the timeline, I put 3 years into this business without really making any money at all. And for the first couple of years, it didn't even pay for itself. So you stick to it. If you're a young publisher, you have aspiring, publication dreams, stick to it. It takes a little bit, but you gotta, you have to work your other job for a while. Don't think that you quit your other job.
So you did that? You did work both jobs at the same time? I mean,
absolutely. For 3 years. For 3 years, I worked 80 hours a week between two jobs. I mean, you can ask my wife. I mean, it's her that got me.
No, I believe you. I believe you. It's just I think it's good advice what you're giving right now, because a lot of people don't realize everything that comes with not just creating a game, but running your own company. And so because that's in essence what you guys are doing. So I wanted you to say that again. I think a lot of people need to hear stuff like that.
Yeah, no, it's really important. It really is. That's the difference, because again, I enjoy sharing my story because I wasn't set for this path. It's not like I was a hobbyist that came from it's not like I studied any sort of engineering or that's not what I'm doing. It's like I'm a restaurant dude that's bartending, but I like games, and now here I am publishing games, and it was just the stick to itiveness. It's just the willingness to put the time in when other people are going to be like A, B, and C are why I shouldn't or can't be doing this. I said, to heck with that. I'm not going to get immobilized. I'm just going to keep jumping over the hurdles regardless of what's presented. And I'll learn.
That's right.
I don't know about copyright stuff. I had to learn it. I had to Google. Google's out there. With Google, you can do any profession you want. Just become the president of the United States, probably. But anyway.
I think one of the candidates actually has a Google background.
There you go. So, but Tiny Epic fills that. When Scott submitted Tiny Epic Planets, is what it was called to me in October 2013. I sat down. I printed it out because I had just reached out. I mean, this was my very first time tweeting. Gamelyn Games is now taking submissions from other designers. Okay, something along those lines. And I got 7 or 8 or 9 submissions in about 3 or 4 days. One of which was Scott Alms, and I recognized his name because I had been on Kickstarter with an airship game of my own, and he had been on Kickstarter with an airship game through Tasty Minstrel Games, and so I just remembered his name because I had been comparing our airship projects. And so I paid particular attention to his email. I printed it out. I played it with my wife that night, and you were these little alien, just obscure alien factions on these little planets and stuff, and these planets are broken down into little sections, you know.
Yeah.
And so I played it with my wife, and we're just like, wow, this is awesome. This is what we're looking for. This kind of thing. I mean, it sparkles of what we're looking for, but it's definitely rough, but it's quick and it's meaningful and it's nasty. You know, you can jab people. There's a lot of exploitation. That was fun. So my wife and I enjoy games like that. So. But I didn't want the space theme. I don't know. I just wasn't as excited about it. But when I started envisioning it as a fantasy theme and more of like Warcraft 2, but in a small tabletop version, then I got excited. And so I went back to Scott and I was like, hey, this is really something. There's really something here. But I would prefer it if it were a fantasy game. I would prefer it if we were instead orcs and humans. Instead of these obscure alien factions. Could this work, right? How do you feel about that? And his very next response to me, he had already rethemed it, rewrote the description, changed every single thing's names, completely gone through, and just very next response, he's like, here's the rules with everything changed to fantasy. It's now called Tiny Epic Kingdoms. So 3 months later, we put it on Kickstarter, and it did a little over $250,000. But that's because we got the game out there. And so a lot of people ask, about that. And I guess I'll go off on a quick little tangent if you don't mind. But I'll get people that ask me, how can I have my project do $250,000 like your project? And I'm like, is this your first project? Well, then go back and look at Rise, my first project, and let's talk to that person because this is years of just rolling a snowball, right? This is not just something that just happens. It can to some people, but if you really want it to happen for you, you can't expect that. You're going to have to work a little bit harder.
Work and dedication.
Yep.
And that's what this is, and that's all that Gamelyn Games is it's time. We've just been doing this. We didn't always have these big successes, and but one philosophy that I stick to is I really think you should, if you the more you give it away, the more it's going to come back to you. And that's something I always tell people is that don't be afraid to give your game away. Don't be afraid to release a free print and play of your game. And don't think that just because you've now given it away for free that nobody's going to come in and pay for the game. If it's truly a great game and you deserve to be paid for it, because I think that profit is just an applause for a job well done. And if you've done a good job, then they'll come back and they'll buy your game and they'll support you. And they're going to want the real deal. They're going to want this awesome game, but in real pieces and real art. And so at the time, it was a discussion between publishers and stuff whether or not we should give away games, print and play games for free before going to Kickstarter. And I was one of the first to do it with Tiny Epic Kingdoms. And it really paid off. I put the print and play out there on BoardGameGeek.com, and I had almost 2,000 downloads prior to launching the game on Kickstarter. And it showed up. People had a chance to feel it and play it, so therefore they were excited to share it. And so there you go. Don't be afraid to give it away. Don't think that people are just going to steal your idea. Don't be too afraid of that kind of stuff. Get it out there. If it's great, it'll come back to you.
People playing your game and talking about your game can never be a bad thing. As long as they're saying good things, as long as it's a good game and people are praising it,
And that's the key, though. It has to be a good game.
Right.
It has to be a good game. The game has to be able to speak for itself. You can all day long. You can sit and hype it up and hype it up and hype it up, but you're not going to get. There's not going to be longevity in that. You may be able to make a quick sell. You may be able to sell one game real quick and make a little one-hit wonder, but then you'll be out. People will see. They won't keep buying your stuff. There's an integrity that you have to continue. You're only as good as your last game. You have to keep one-upping yourself, or you condition your fans to stop buying your stuff.
Awesome. So you've told us about Tiny Epic Kingdoms. What are some of the other games in the Tiny Epic line that you guys have?
So Tiny Epic Defenders was the follow-up to Tiny Epic Kingdoms. It's a thematic follow-up, but it's a very different game. It's not a mechanical sequel at all. It's a cooperative game, as a matter of fact. So opposite end of the spectrum. But it is it possesses what is the mantra of the Tiny Epic Games, which is a small, approachable, but robust and exciting game with replayability and expandability. So, Tiny Epic Defenders is kind of like a little mini Pandemic, plays in 30 minutes. Think of it kind of like a reverse deck builder where you're going to be, as a team of players, playing against the game, which is going to be a horde of monsters that is constructed into a deck, and that deck evolves where every round new cards are going to be added to that deck, but they're not good. The hero cards, which are going to be your player actions, start in the deck as well. So you're going to be playing off the top of that deck, and you're not sure if it's going to be an enemy that's attacking a certain region or if it's going to be one of the player's actions. But you do know that at the end of the round, more enemies are being added into the deck. So you'll have this imperfect knowledge you'll know what areas were more threatened or a higher threat in a previous round, but you're not quite sure how the next round is going to evolve. But you can use that information to position yourself to defend, hence Tiny Epic Defenders, the attacks that are coming in. And so it's all about predicting the deck and learning the deck that you're fighting against for that game.
Awesome.
So there's that. So Tiny Epic Galaxies was the third game in the series. Tiny Epic Galaxies is, again, very different. It's not a reskin of Tiny Epic Kingdoms by any means. It does have some elements of a 4X game, but it is not directly a 4X game. It is a high luck, high strategy game. It's more of an engine building game, revolving around dice comboing. So you're going to be a fleet commander, if you will, but even more so, you control your own galaxy. So you're really this galactic emperor. You have a fleet that you're going to be sending out to acquire planets that are being contested by other players. These planets are in the middle of the board. They're very powerful planets. They're the most powerful planets across multiple universes. I mean, it is like a crazy big game, right? So this is, there's these galaxies that are pulling these planets into their galaxy to acquire their certain culture and powers and abilities. But it's a bit of a race. You're all going to be racing to try to colonize these these planets to take their abilities, which also come with victory points. Once you've reached that victory point threshold, you wrap up the game. It's about 30 to 45 minutes. It's a ton of fun too.
I love the planet artwork on like all the cards. Like just looking at them, and the dice are like so amazing for that game. So
yeah, Bill Bricker and Ben Schulman were the illustrators. Bill Bricker did the planets. Ben Schulman did the graphic design. Both very talented individuals, and yeah, it turned out really nice.
I saw some other interesting, exciting information about that game here recently, that a certain Wheaton was enjoying the solo version of that game.
What? No, dude, that blew my mind. So that's just something that's so big. That's just so neat. He has a tremendous influence in this industry, and rightfully so. So it was really cool. So we had gone out to LA for a little convention earlier this year, and we met one of the editors for Price is Right, which is really cool. And she was actually the one that brought it to my attention. She saw his tweet and brought it to my attention, and it just, yeah. So I don't know what's going to come of that. I hope he likes the game. But the game stands for itself. I believe in that game. I think that I can't imagine why that they wouldn't want that game on the show. I think it's a perfect game. I think it plays up to 5 players. A 5-player game, if everybody understands the game well, which I would love to come down and teach them if need be.
That's awesome.
Hours time. So I think it would be a great format for the show. The culture element and the following element that keeps everybody involved every single
time. Yeah.
Time in this game. So we'll see. I'm crossing my fingers and I'm crossing my toes, and I'm hoping for the best. It means a lot.
Weird. Awesome. So what are some of the struggles of making a Tiny Epic game? Is it hard to fit that big of a game in this tiny little box?
Absolutely. So I've got a scale right here on my desk. It's probably one of my most frequently used pieces of equipment. Uh, so the Tiny Epic games have to come in at 11.5 ounces or less.
Cool.
If I
Is
want to
that
be,
box and everything?
that's box and everything, but it's not mailer. So the thing is that it needs to come in under 13 ounces with the mailer, and most mailers are at least an ounce, maybe a little bit more. And so I could probably get away with 11.7 or 11 point 7 ounces, but it'd be risky. If it goes over 13 ounces with the mailer, then it adds about $2 to $3 per package, and so
Got it.
just for American packages, and then it adds like $7 or $8 for international packages, and my international backers are about 33% or so of my backers, and so
It's a lot of
uh,
money.
for instance, Tiny Epic Defenders came in overweight because we ended up adding just a little bit too much to the deluxe package, and I didn't properly calculate that, and that'll be the last time I make that mistake. So,
Yeah.
but that mistake came in after everything was done, after the project had funded, when I finally got the advanced copy, the real deal. I put it on the scale, and it came in at like 12.3. So I knew that when we put the mailer in there, it was going to be over 13 ounces. And so, for instance, again, like to send something, that's under 13 ounces, it's $2.35 or $2.80 max. Send something that's 13 ounces, you're automatically at your next best bet is to throw it into a small flat rate mailer at $5.25. And so it's a significant jump when Tiny Big Galaxies, for instance, 12,000 some odd backers. But with Defenders at 5 or 6,000 backers, it ended up costing $13,000 just out of nowhere. Just here you go. Now all of a sudden, because you're overweight, shipping bills an extra 13 grand, and that's huge.
That is a lot of money. I don't have that to give you right now, so that's a lot of money.
Yeah. But that's one of the biggest challenges in creating a Tiny Epic game is making sure that the package is surprisingly fantastic. So that when somebody opens it, they have a visceral feeling that they've got something bigger than they paid for. They've got something more in value than what they paid for, and so they have that good feeling about feeling like they've really got something that's worth having. But to achieve that, but then to stay under 12 ounces or 11.5 ounces, that's why we, I don't know if I've got a spoon that's super handy, but we just got Tiny Epic Kingdoms Heroes Call in, spot UV interior printing where we show.
That's so awesome.
That is so cool.
In beautiful art. What can I show you here? This one here, I knew when we went with a black lining for the box.
Nice.
So, really classy. Even the bottom has a nice black lining that you can see. And we printed a real nice thing here in the bottom. We just try to use every little square centimeter of space.
That's one of the things I noticed about Galaxies is the really nice, like, it's just dice tray with just this cool looking galaxy on the lid of Tiny Epic Galaxies. It's just like, it's not something that you had to do, but it's something that like you open up and you're like, whoa, this is really cool.
Yeah, when I first got into board games, so just a few years back, like I was saying, it was the bits that got me. That's what I found myself whenever I was at the store and I'm like, what kind of game do I think I'd be interested in? I was always drawn to the ones that had cool bits of some sort, some wood bits that had unique shapes. For some reason, I was really drawn to that, and so I've stayed true to that as a game creator. I always make sure that there are really neat, unique bits that you can't find anywhere else that really make my game stand out from others.
That's awesome. But yeah, I definitely can see what you're saying about the value. It just definitely feels like much bigger than what you pay for it. They're very reasonably priced, and the Kickstarters normally are like amazing. It's like, what? This much for this whole game? Like, that looks crazy. Yeah. So it's pretty exciting. So my next question is, would Gamelyn ever make a big epic game? It might come over. It might come over
that's
that
over 13 ounces.
just a little bit.
On purpose, over 13 ounces.
So you know what? We have something very, very exciting in the works. It is definitely over 13 ounces. It's quite large. But I will say, I don't know. I don't want to say too much.
No. You're fine, Michael. You're fine. Just keep going, baby. Just keep going.
I should spill it all and give you guys all the good news.
Yes, we love you so much.
I will say though that it's not going to be far from what we're already doing. So
Gotcha.
Again, there's something about the paradigm of Tiny Epic games that is just part of my passion in creating games, and Scott is just such a great designer for that paradigm of game, and so Scott and we're working on something much bigger that possesses the Tiny Epic paradigm.
So next, medium epic games. No, I'm just kidding.
Well, can you at least tell us its background? Like, is it a Western, or is it the Fantasy Kingdom, or is it a sci-fi galaxy, or I don't know what is it? SEAL Team 6? I mean,
right. So do you remember the game Paperboy on NES?
Yes.
Think gigantic Paperboy. No, I'm playing.
Oh man, you had me going. I was like, yes.
Hey, maybe we're onto something. No. I will tell you. I will let this one go to you guys. I will let this one go. It's fantasy.
Okay.
Yes.
So, which is my home playground. So, and so I'm very excited to really wrap my mind around this one. And what Scott has been doing with the engine and the system is going to blow people's mind. So
awesome.
We're excited. We're very excited.
All right, can I ask you one more question? And it's not so much about the game.
They're risky.
When will there be like an official announcement or something like that? Like, when will we be able to hear more about this? Because I know you don't want to just give everything away and stuff like that, and I get it. Even though I don't get it, I wish you would tell me everything, but I get it. But like, yeah, when will we hear more?
This year. This is something that we would really like to
launch this year, or just announce this year?
Announced this year. We'd like to be able to bring this to our fans and friends on Kickstarter Q1 of 2017.
Okay.
The next question is
delivered. So delivered Q1 2017. So the Kickstarter.
Q4.
Okay.
Q4 of 2017.
Nice.
I can't wait that long. Can you give us anything else besides fantasy?
Will Gamelyn himself be in the game?
Yes.
That's the question everyone wants to know.
I want to know that.
You're like, Scott, add Gamelyn now. He's the mascot. He's got to be there. He's got to be there.
Have you guys seen the Gamelyn suit? I don't know why I'm not wearing this.
You should be.
I should have been just doing. I should have just been doing this.
Yes, the whole time. That's awesome.
Do the rest of the thing, and so we got the whole suit, man. This thing, we've got a huge suit, and so we take it to conventions, and kids love it. They come out, and we get to pass out stuff, stickers, and temporary tattoos, and it's really fun. It's good for the show.
Does that thing get super hot though?
It's not too bad. It's actually designed for that. Jason Washburn, the suit's creator, makes professional sets for theater and movies, and has also done cosplay, plenty of cosplay costumes, and so it's made out of Worbla and plastic, and
that's awesome.
It's got a nice, it's got a chainmail kind of codpiece area, and then it's got metal thighs, so that when I walk, it's clinking, it sounds all metal. Big cape, but most of it's plastic.
You got to bring your defenses to those conventions, man. You gotta armor up all the way.
Yes, you do.
It's sketchy in there.
That's awesome.
Awesome. Yeah. So our next question is, Kickstarter is part of your core business model. Can you tell us about Kickstarter, how it's worked for Gamelyn, and what it's meant to your company, basically?
It's everything. Kickstarter is everything to Gamelyn Games. It's really fantastic, and a lot of conversations I have with people seem to be around whether or not it's a bubble, whether or not it's going to burst, whether or not board gaming is a bubble. Similar like .coms, right, kind of stuff. But in I say no. And my defense to that is that it's really it's a market, and you can see what's happening in a successful free market where the buyers become more discerning, creators have to become more professional, and you're seeing that in Kickstarter. So I think that the bar is definitely being raised. I'm glad I got in a few years ago when I did, because people were a little bit more forgiving on letting you cut your teeth a little bit on projects, whereas now the expectation has definitely raised. But that's a good thing for the market. It's making games better. It's making Kickstarter better. But crowdfunding itself, in terms of a business paradigm, is here to stay. That's not a bubble. That's not going away by any means. Whether or not Kickstarter can continue to offer the best platform to utilize that, we'll see. But so far, so good. But crowdfunding itself is here to stay. But it's been very pivotal for Gamelyn Games. Without being able to get the capital to make products and things like that from the fans, it'd be impossible. Banks are not loaning. I mean, you have to for sure be in business for 2 years, and then showing great business movement in your accounts and stuff. I mean, they really want to see something. They want to see something that they can trust, And so, if you're just wanting if you just have this, burning desire to design games or make games or in crowdfunding anything, right? I mean, maybe you're an artist, maybe you're a chef, maybe you're a movie maker, whatever. But it's a way to get out there, and it's a way to skip all the gatekeepers and go straight to the people's choice. And if what you have is interesting to people and you've done a well enough job exposing it, then you can really make something for yourself. And so I'm totally a story of being completely born out of Kickstarter. So yeah, it's everything.
That's awesome. So we've talked about Tiny Epic Western a decent amount. Is there anything else you want to tell us about Tiny Epic Western, or any new and exciting things that you're doing for this Kickstarter?
So Tiny Epic Western it's so fantastic. It's from the hobbyists. It's being called the best game in the series, and I know why they're saying that. And the game really does offer some great decisions, and it's really it's different. It's a horse of a different color than some of the other ones, but it's still very approachable. But it's just not. So, for instance, if you have non-gamers coming over, you may be more inclined to show them Tiny Epic Galaxies or Tiny Epic Defenders, because it's going to be a little bit easier for people who are not used to making worker placement style decisions. But for the gamers who are used to that, Tiny Epic Western is going to give it to them in an approachable half-hour to 45-minute dose, which is nice, and helps it stand out. But it's gonna give them that real full game experience, which I think Tiny Epic Defenders left a little to be desired with some of our reviewers, where they didn't feel like it was quite there in terms of the game experience. I beg to differ, but this one is they can't say this one about. They can't say that about Tiny Epic Western. This one's got everything in there. So very awesome. Excited about the game. We jump on the Kickstarter page and we're going to spell out the game very simply to, so one thing that we're doing now with our Kickstarters, and again, it's just a matter of trying to refine our process and improve our process, but now we have motion GIFs that will kind of walk you through some of the key elements of the game, things like that. And we're cleaning up how we present the game. Our page keeps getting more and more mainstream to get the point across. So I think that, so long as you just are getting this news and you know that the project is live, then jump over there and you'll learn everything you need to know about the game. And there'll be tons of reviews posted, so that even if you're needing to really, and if you want to just play the game yourself before you back it, download the free print and play. We've put it out. It's out there for you for free.
That's amazing. Awesome. Yeah, you guys Kickstarters look like some of the best that I've seen out there. They're always amazing with awesome, cool stretch goals. So I'm really excited to see how you guys have everything laid out. Even having played the game and having a print and play copy of my own, I really want to like those plastic dice, man. Those plastic dice. They're gonna keep everybody coming back.
So well, it's great, dude. It's really been a fun ride. It's really neat.
Awesome. So what is your personal favorite tabletop game? I know you said you've only been doing this for a few years, but out of the games that you've played, what do you think is the one?
So,
this is a big deal real quick, Michael. This is a big deal. Like, I just want to prep you. Your answer will determine if you come back on the show.
And that's tabletop game, so it doesn't have to be strictly board game either. So,
fair enough. Well, now, geez, Robert, you got me all sweating bullets over here.
Don't listen to him; he's all bark.
So they each serve a different purpose, right? It's like, what's your best game for when you're with somebody who hasn't played a game, or what?
Yeah.
So, they each kind of do their own thing, but I will say that I'm like I said earlier, Robert. Stop. Maybe I would have to say Carcassonne is going to be my number one.
Nice.
But I've been very influenced by Alien Frontiers.
Yes.
By Stone Age. I mean, there's a few that have really left a big impression on me. One game I really love is Agricola All Creatures Big and Small, the 2-player one. That one's a fantastic game. Survive also. I really love Survive.
Yeah,
I don't
you
know.
Did good. You did good.
I don't know if I'll ever win Survive. I'm pretty sure everyone just murders all my people every time I play that game.
So I'm trying to not mention my Tiny Epic games because I don't want to be that tongue in cheek. But
I'm proud. We all know those are all your favorites and your babies. So.
Well, you should make games that you're passionate about, and you should make games that you want to play. I mean, then
exactly.
Why else do it? I mean, if you're going to be in some type of an art, whether board gaming is an art, you should enjoy your art. This should not be like it's going to be torturous because you have to put up with people like us and the factories and everything like that, but like you should be able to want to do what you're doing. Like, don't be a painter if you're really, want to be a rock climber. Go be a rock climber.
I feel like a lot of designers see a game or they can't find the game that they want to play, and so they make that game that they want to play. And that's like how most designers design games is like, I want to play this game, so I need to make it myself.
Yeah, and that's Tiny Epic for you. But so publishers can do that too.
Nice.
I didn't have the games that I wanted, so I got Scott Alms. He's so cool, dude. I didn't even meet him until BGG Con 2014. So it had gone a whole year. Tiny Epic Kingdoms had done all it did on Kickstarter. Scott had I cut him this huge check for Tiny Epic Kingdoms because he had done so dang good, and I'd never even met the guy. And finally I got to meet him, and I'm like, dude, we've changed each other's lives, like, and here we are finally getting to meet each other after so long, and having influenced each other so much.
Honest question. Now, this is a stupid question, but there's a follow-up question. Have you ever spoken to Scott before you met him?
Duh.
Not just email. I'm talking about like verbally.
Absolutely. So
okay. So when you met Scott, did he look at all like you thought he was going to look? We get that a lot when people meet us. They're like, "You do not look like."
He was much taller than I expected, actually.
Okay.
So no, he didn't quite look what I. No, he didn't.
Next question: did you hug him?
Yes.
Yes.
Did.
That's awesome.
I hug people.
Right. I'm a hugger.
So no, that phone call the phone call that I had with Scott, our very first time talking, wasn't too long after he sent me because shortly after receiving the game, I had a local convention coming up, and so I was there playing around with the game, and I had another publisher walk by and eyeball it and kind of ask me a little bit about it, and was like, oh, that's very, very interesting, and this is a publisher that I admired, and so as soon as he stepped away, I was like, hun, can you watch the booth? I ran outside. I called Scott Alms on the phone, and I'm like, here's my offer. Take it right now. Let's seal the deal, and then I'll get you a contract tomorrow, but let's do a verbal agreement right now. And so
that's awesome.
it was a big phone call. The very first time talking to him was like a big phone call. That's why I brought that up.
That's
Well,
awesome.
great.
Well, is there anything else coming up at Gamelyn that you want to talk about or promote? I know the Kickstarter is coming out the 11th of January this month. So,
Yep. So I mean, that's just a couple of days away. It's 6 days away. So that's right around the corner. That's really what all of our focus is on right now. We're just getting ready for that. We do have a couple of small things in the I will mention one thing that is also going to be coming up pretty quick here in February is another Scott Alms game, House of Borgia. So House of Borgia is like Liar's Dice meets Resistance, is a hidden role action selection meets Liar's Dice. Is really, really compelling, really fun social game. It's a game that I had actually signed with Scott, and then when Tiny Epic became what it was, and I really wanted to focus all of Gamelyn's resources on Tiny Epic, I brought in Jason Washburn, the guy I was telling you that created the suit, who also has a publishing company called Talon Strike Studios. I brought him in as a project manager on House of Borgia, but as a co-publisher. So he will essentially be running almost all of the front end. I'll be helping out with the back end. That Kickstarter launches in February under his company, and then together we'll get that game through manufacturing and then onto shelves. But definitely take a look at that one. House of Borgia, it's on BGG. You can check it out. There's been a bunch of pictures getting posted, so go learn about that game. Especially if you like social deduction hidden role games.
I'm pretty sure social deduction hidden role is our middle name.
So that one, so this, 1942, papacy is, it's in the hands of the Borgias. Things are crazy. So there's all sorts of bribery and backstabbing and goodness. So
Rob knows about backstabbing.
I do know about backstabbing. That's why I will never trust Roy.
Thanks for
Ever.
that. Awesome.
Even if, doesn't matter.
Awesome, guys. Well, I guess that's pretty much been a podcast. So thanks so much for coming on. We stream this podcast every Tuesday at 9 p.m. Eastern Time, and that's at twitch.tv/Epic Gaming Night. Also, make sure to check us out on Twitter and Instagram. We're over there posting lots of pictures and exciting things, some pictures of Tiny Epic Western and stuff like that. So check that out. Also, check us out on our new Board Game Geek Guild, and like us on Board Game Links as well. That helps other people find the podcast. Michael, where can they find you at?
So GamelynGames.com. GAMELYN games.com, Facebook.com/GamelynGames, Gamelyn_games for Twitter. So check us out on Instagram, Gamelyn Games, Tiny Epic, Google Tiny Epic, you'll find us.
Now, if they search Gamelyn enough, will they be able to find your World of Warcraft character?
Yes. So, yes, actually. If you search Gamelyn World of Warcraft or just Gamelyn Paladin World of Warcraft, I bet you'll find a video on YouTube that's like 79 or 80,000 views of my character fighting a T-Rex.
Leroy Jenkins! No, I'm just kidding.
I made way back in the day. It's really good. It's funny.
That's awesome. Well, thanks so much for coming on the show.
That's
It's
awesome.
been a total blast.
So, well, cool. Well, thanks, guys, for having me on. I really appreciate it. So.
And we're looking forward to the Kickstarter.
Yes.
All right. See you guys there next Monday.
Nice.
All right.
So a piece? Or is this that awkward talk while the credits are rolling right now?
You always do the awkward talk. The credits are rolling. Thanks for coming out, guys. Peace!